Welcome to my quick review of the Polygon Zeta 2. It was delivery day and I was pretty damn excited to open this thing up. As a mountain biker, when I think of Polygon, I think of Brendan Kerr and other riders on huge travel downhill bikes or enduro bikes, absolutely shredding trails, throwing up mud and railing berms. The reality couldn't be further from the truth. The Zeta is a budget-friendly mini velo 20-inch bike which costs £405. So looking at the spec then, you've got a nice alley frame. It's designed for people from 165 to 175 centimeters. As you can see here, it's designed for me. I'm 173 centimeters, and it's a one-size-fits-all type of scenario. So it's got some tetrahydraulic discs running 160mm rotors front and back, and it's got a 10-speed Targa drivetrain. It's running a 640mm bar with a 50mm stem, which is pretty narrow. And then it's got a really nice long seat post, quick release so you can drop it out of the way, and there's this funny little sticker on it that says it's not suitable for stunts, aggressive riding or anything like that, which kind of made me laugh. So on the fork you have this little arch that can be adjusted. On the back of it is a thread, so you can actually run some accessories like lights and things like that. I've seen various people put bits on there on various forums. And here's that 160mm rotor again. It's running quick release axles front and back. I'm running Travel Big Bend tyres because they're a bit better than the standard V tyres that come on the bike. It's also got internal cable routing, which is pretty snazzy, as well as 2 bottle mounts, so you can run plenty of stuff on there. Now, it's got a pretty skinny seat stay and really wide, thick chainstay, which means I've actually been hitting my ankles on it and my feet. I don't tend to do that at all on any other bike, so that was an interesting observation. Looking at the drivetrain then, it's running a 48 teeth front chain, and it's got a 2-piece crankset with Holotech technology and a threaded bottom bracket. Now it's got this chain guide on it to protect your trousers and clothes from grease, but you'll have to take off the bottom bracket to remove it. And here you can see more signs I've been hitting my shoes and so on. Again, I never do that. And there's the Targa chain set. It's super loose, so actually there's a ton of chain slap because there's no mech. There's no clutch mech in there. And I'm running some XTD or pedals, which are clipless one side and flat the other, so I've got a range of shoes I can run. The bike's not without issues. I've noticed a heck of a lot of chain slap already, as I mentioned, because of no clutch mech. I'm not sure how I'll fix that one. It does have tons of tyre space though, so these are 2.22 tyres. You could probably throw in a 2.8. I think there's a lot of space in there. Haven't tried yet. I might do in the future. There is issues though, as I said, so there's some missing weld around the bottom bracket shell, there's some paint chipping on the rims, there's a dent in the steerer tube, and some scratches and other small marks on the bike. Enough doom and gloom, let's go for a ride. So I'm taking it for a little local loop that's pretty varied, some gravel paths, some urban bits, some uphill and some downhill. You immediately notice how nimble the bike is. It's a bit like a big overgrown BMX. That does mean that at slower speeds it is pretty unstable, but it is fun. To understand the playful nature, let's delve into the geometry. So the bike has got a 70-degree head angle, which is pretty slack for these type of mini velo bikes. And it's got a pretty steep seat angle at 74.5 degrees. It's also got super short chain stays, which are only 400mm. That explains why it's so fun and easy to wheelie. Wheelbase is pretty short at 1079, and the standover height is only 594, which is pretty good for a bike like this. The bottom bracket height is 290, and the reach is 413. I've noticed even at my pretty short size 173 that the bike is super short. Riding down some of the small UK roads and towns and villages, you really notice all the small imperfections and undulations in the road with the 20-inch wheels. You have to keep your wits about you. On the billiard smooth tarmac of all the new build roads, it's absolutely sublime. It flies along really nicely and comfortably, and it's absolutely not skittish or unstable, to be honest, once you get up to speed. I stopped at the skate park to really make the most of the playful nature. It's pretty good fun. The only problem was that rear mech. Absolutely no clutch mech means that the chain is slapping around, and I lost my chain a couple of times. I noticed my rear wheels started to lose tension and the spokes were pretty loose, so I left the skate park behind and moved on with the ride. The combination of a long seat post and a quick release seat clamp meant that it was easy to put the saddle up and down out the way or to full riding height. The small wheels and nimble handling made it easy to move around town and through obstacles just like this. Did I mention it likes to wheelie? This thing's fun. This gravel section was actually pretty horrid. The little wheels struggled for grip with high PSI and the small rollover capabilities. Gearing on the bike was actually remarkably good. I was a bit dubious at first because of the small wheels and the ginormous chainring on the front. But 48 tooth chainring plus an 11 to 34 teeth cassette was actually spot on. It seemed to climb quite nicely, and then on the open roads it got up pretty fast. Sure, the big ring's ugly, but it's function over form, and the rest of the bike's pretty ugly as well. The Zeta's properly punishing on these little footpaths and bridleways, just too bumpy for the high PSI of the tyres to absorb anything, and the rollover is really poor. UK is going through a heat wave at the moment. Today is 34 degrees, but it's set to rise to up to 36. You can see it's also the middle of harvesting season. Back on the smooth stuff, and it feels fantastic. This really is what the Zeta absolutely excels. As cheesy as it sounds, it just makes you want to carve up the tarmac. So that's it, homeward bound. It's been a nice hot ride, but I'm ready for a beer. What do I think of the bike? Well, it's actually fantastic in the urban environment. Somewhere with some smoother roads, less imperfections, it just absolutely excels. You can hop up and down the curbs quite easily. It's a little porky at almost 13 kilos, and you can really feel it in the rear wheel. But it's super easy to wheelie and maneuver around, especially at slow speeds. You could track stand for days and wheelie for days, honestly. The thing is great. I really can't recommend it out on the open roads though. Any imperfections just make the whole thing really difficult to work with over any sort of long periods of time. And off-road, I wouldn't even consider it, to be honest. It's so tiresome, always correcting the way the bike rides and always picking the smoothest lines. But hey, that probably doesn't come as a surprise, right? This thing is just meant to mess around with, and I absolutely love it. I'm a little disappointed by the build quality. At £400, I'd expect a little better than this. I've had cheaper bikes that have got much better build quality than this. I bought the bike from Go Outdoors in the UK, and there's a few issues that I've mentioned in this video, and I'm going to try and go through the warranty process and see if they can help me out just to resolve them. So let's get home for that beer. I hope you've enjoyed my brief review of the Polygon Zeta 2. If you have any comments or thoughts on my experience or what your experiences are, please just drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.